guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Stacy. This is going to be kind of a weird video for my channel, but so y'all know I've been talking about it. We got a different property or a new property in Tennessee, and I'm slowly trying to put some furniture over there and kind of make it like homey because there's practically nothing there. And I want to take one of my bookcases from here and move it over there. So you can see behind me, I have, this is called a Billy bookcase, and it's the short one. I have 4 of these running along this wall, and these 2 right here are full of my horror book collection. Now, as you know, my channel is called Christian Fiction and Classics, which does not include horror. I don't read horror anymore. I used to be the biggest horror fan. I've mentioned that before on my channel. I am a baby Christian, only 2 years old. And so my life before was vastly different than what it looks like today. And I, work really hard to be a different person, be a Christ-like person. And there's a couple of Bible verses that I want to read that really kind of set me onto this path to where I didn't want to read horror anymore or watch certain kinds of movies anymore. So yeah, I was a big horror fan. I had a whole different book channel, so maybe you've seen me somewhere else on BookTube, I don't know, but I had a whole channel dedicated to horror. And yeah, that's just not who I am anymore. It's not my life anymore. I'm trying to focus on other things, and so I'm gonna go through these shelves and I'm gonna get rid of a lot of my books, a lot of my horror books. And some of these I loved, absolutely loved these books when I read them before I was a new creation in Christ. And so I honestly don't know how I'm going to feel about doing this. I don't know. This is like a new thing for me that I've never really dealt with before. So I thought I would film it and take you guys with me through this process of like removing the old, because I'm new, right? Like we're new in Christ when we become Christians. And so yeah, I want to read really quickly these 2 verses that really stuck out to me when I was first, like the first time I read through the Bible. And these 2 verses in particular is what really convicted me to not want to read horror or watch horror movies anymore, at least certain kinds. So I'll get into that. But the first one is from Ephesians 4:17. So this is Paul writing to the church, and it says, "This I say, therefore, and testify in the Lord, that you should no longer walk as the rest of the Gentiles walk, in the futility of their mind, having their understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them, because of the blindness of their heart, who being past feeling have given themselves over to lewdness, to work all uncleanness with greediness." That's a mouthful, but basically what I'm taking away from this and my conviction from this is, do not walk as the Gentiles do. Do not do as they do. Do not live as they do. Do not behave as they do. And when it talked about having their understanding darkened, I felt like I was going down that road, or I was on that path because of all of the dark things I was ingesting all the time, or, seeing all the time. And I felt like with horror, in a lot of ways, you become desensitized to it. And so you might start off with reading like a ghost story and think, oh, well, that's not too scary, especially if you don't like believe in ghosts. But then that isn't enough. You don't get scared. And so you read something that's worse, and then you don't get scared. And then you read something that's worse. And so you just become desensitized to it. And then these things just, they don't even seem dark anymore. They just seem normal. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm making any sense, but to me, it was an issue. I knew as soon as I read that verse that this was a problem for me and I needed to stop doing it. The other verse is also from Paul. It's in Philippians 4:8. And it says, finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue and if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. So I read that and I was like, I literally don't meditate on any of these things. I don't read or watch or talk about anything that is good and praiseworthy and has virtue. None of these. And so pretty much in this moment, I was like, I need to be reading things about God and I need to be watching things about God. I need to be learning about God. I just needed God all the time and all the things. And so that meant I really had to cut out all the other stuff because none of this was edifying to my soul or praiseworthy. So it's got to go. It's got to go. So yeah, let's jump into this and see how it goes, see how I feel. Like, I'm trying to just be honest about this whole process. I had a really great conversation with someone in my comments about cutting out the horror because she said she also loved horror and she's having a difficult time with it. And so I'm not perfect. I'm not the best Christian out there, but I'm like on the path and I'm working and I'm trying. So let's see what happens. All right, I had to move you a little bit. So as you can see, this top shelf here is I think it's all Stephen King. Yes, this is all Stephen King. Okay, let me talk about Stephen King for a second. So I think everybody knows who Stephen King is, even people who don't read horror. He's one of the most famous authors out there. But all he writes is technically garbage. So some of it is really well-written garbage, and some of it, I don't know. None of it is edifying to my soul. But these were some of my absolute favorite books. This one isn't actually my book. This one belongs to my son. I've actually never read it, and I'm okay with that. I know of a certain scene in this book that even for a horror fan, I was just like, nope, I'm out. I cannot do it. So I've never read this one, and I have no problem with taking that off my shelf. Like I said, this belongs to my son. I don't think he's read it, but I need to have a talk with him about this. This one on top is called The Cycle of the Werewolf. I've read this. This is definitely not something a Christian should be reading. It's really, really bad. It goes through like a year of a preacher turning into a werewolf every month and the horrific things that he does. There is nothing redeeming about that. So that's got to go. Gerald's Game. This one, I'm not even going to describe what this is on my channel because it's horrible. It's really horrible. And the idea that I was interested in this, like, look, oh, okay. See, this is where the conviction comes in. It makes me feel yucky. Like now looking at this stuff and knowing how I thought about it at the time and how I enjoyed it, like, ugh, it makes me feel yucky. So this one's horrible. Don't even look at it. That's got to go. Dreamcatcher. Okay, another chunker. I read this one. This was a 5-star read for me. This is aliens, a story about aliens. And as far as Christians reading horror, this one it's not as bad as these other books, at least from what I can remember. It's been a few years since I've read it. Reading it today, I might be absolutely horrified. But yeah, this one doesn't make me feel as yucky because from what I remember, it wasn't as terrible. But there's no need for me to keep it around. So I also have a bunch of horror-themed Funko Pops because I collected all of that. And so, like, I honestly don't even know what to do with this stuff. I have like, this whole room, this is This is a bonus room above our garage. And it's like where the kids would play video games and we'd watch movies. And I didn't raise my kids as Christian. Like I said, this just happened to me. This just happened to me. God called me 2 years ago. So I did not raise my kids right. And I am now struggling with that and dealing with the ramifications of that and trying to figure out how to fix that. So if you all have like advice for me, I would really appreciate it. Night Shift is a collection of scary short stories, and I have read this. And do you remember the movie from like the 80s, The Children of the Corn? That's in here. It's horrific. Absolutely horrific. And again, this one makes me feel really yucky. I don't like it. I don't like it. At the time, I loved it. Don't like it anymore. This one is a tough one. This one's tough. This is Needful Things. It was a 5-star read for me. And honestly, I'm struggling with this one. I'm struggling with this one because it's about maybe he's the devil, maybe he's a demon. I'm not quite sure what he is, but he's this old, horrible man who comes to this town. He opens an antique store, and when people come into the store, they see something that they just have to have. And he doesn't sell them the thing. He talks them into doing something horrible to like one of their neighbors or one of their friends in exchange for gaining the thing. And so the book really talks about morals and good versus evil in a lot of ways. It talks about like human depravity and how we are so willing to do something awful to get what we want and what that turns us into. So for me, it was really like a psychological read into the mind of how, sin and things work. So yeah, I'm struggling with this one. I kind of want to keep this one and maybe reread this one again from a Christian perspective and see how I feel about it. The Long Walk. This one I might keep. This is one of his earlier works, and it's on the dystopian side. I love those dystopian genre, and I might want to read this one from a Christian perspective. See, it's really weird because some things I'm just like, no, I want to stay away from that. I want nothing to do with it. And then some things I'm kind of like, what does that look like now? Does that make any sense? I don't know. This one is a maybe. Salem's Lot. This one's interesting. I read this one and I gave this one 5 stars. This one is about vampires. There's nothing good about this one. There really is nothing good about this one. This is the opposite of the thing that Paul is talking about in his letter. I won't get anything good out of this. So I'm getting rid of it. All right. These next few ones, I have Dracula's Guest by Bram Stoker. I'm going to keep this one. Bram Stoker was a Christian, and he wrote Dracula as like I don't know if Christian allegory would be the correct term for it, but it has Christian overviews and good versus evil, and I really like that sort of thing. I like books that kind of make you think like that, so I'm keeping Bram Stoker. Edgar Allan Poe. Okay, so Edgar Allan Poe was my favorite author of all time. I think I heard that right before he died, he did go to a church, like a revival kind of thing, and was talking about converting to Christianity or becoming a Christian. But I don't think he wrote from that perspective at all. But I do kind of feel like I'm more lenient with classic horror than I am with modern horror. I don't really have a good explanation for that. Why? Why do I feel that way? I don't know. I need to think about that. I think I'm going to keep Poe for now. as part of my classics collection and just kind of stew on it. Shirley, I have this one from Shirley Jackson. This is short stories by her. I honestly don't like this book. I like Shirley Jackson, her writing, but I didn't know this when I got this. This book was put together after she died, and it's a bunch of her unfinished stories. They're not finished, and they make no sense. They end in the weirdest ways. So I don't think I'm going to keep that because I just don't like it. Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Would this be considered horror? I'm not sure. I'm definitely keeping this. This is one of my favorite books, and I really do like it. And it was, and Washington Irving was a Christian, so it's written from a Christian perspective at least. So I'm going to keep it. Horror Store. I read this and I hated it. I thought this was a terrible story. I have no interest in that. That's basically zombies in like an IKEA. Silence of the Lambs. This is horrible. I don't recommend this for a Christian. It's really bad. I've read this series. I loved this series. I especially loved the movies. The idea of watching this movie right now turns my stomach. Isn't that just fascinating? Like, I'm kind of like blowing my own mind right now with how I feel looking and thinking about these books. This one, My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. This is another tough one. I felt, and I read this when I was not a Christian, but I felt Christian vibes from this. This definitely was like a good versus evil. It's about a girl who gets possessed and her best friend is desperate to save her. There's a lot of love in this book. There's love, friendship, virtue, kindness. Like, there's a lot of good things in this book, even though it's a straight up horror book. Again, this might be interesting to read now and see what I think, so I'm going to hold on to that one. You by Caroline Kepnes. This was one of my all-time favorite books ever. This is about a stalker, and he murders people, and he's a really bad guy. There is no like good versus evil. There's no redeeming value about this, but I found it so highly entertaining. It's also a TV show. I loved the TV show, and again, it is not something I would watch now. It's so crazy to me how I'm just like, ugh. Nope, not going to keep it. Scary Stories Treasury. This is a book I bought for my kids because I trained them up to love horror and love Halloween and all things scary, and now I'm reaping what I sow with that. So yeah, this book, there's some stuff in here that freaked me out, and I read it as a grown adult, but this is targeted for children. This is a children's book. So I have 3 Christopher Moore books. He writes about like vampires, paranormal type stuff. I have no interest in this anymore. I am making some kind of mess here. So you can see my bottom shelf. I have like Frankenstein down here, and I have more scary books. So I have a bunch of Anne Rice down here that I'm not going to keep. I already know that. Just so they can go. The Historian, I think I am going to keep. This has to do with Dracula. It is modern. It's not a classic, but I did read this many years ago, and I liked it, and I think it's like acceptable right now. I have The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. I know Kendra Christine liked this book, so I'm going to keep it in case I want to read something, you know, different than what I'm used to. Queen of the Damned by Anne Rice. Gotta go. These, I don't know really why they were on the shelf. I think they're mysteries set in England. They go together. They're part of a series. I've never read these. Oh, this has to do with a crime unit, like a police crime unit that deals with the occult and paranormal. I bet I would have loved these. I bet I would have loved these because I love British mystery, and then if you add like a paranormal element to it, I would have like gone nuts for it. Not gonna read it. This one I think I might keep. Sarah Waters, I've seen her books on some Christians' lists of like books to read, so I don't know what this book is about, but it might be okay. I might be all right with that one. I'm gonna keep that one. Great Ghost Stories. I'm not gonna keep that one. Real Ghost Stories. Oh my goodness, was I obsessed. Not gonna keep that one. Weird Ghosts. Nope. All right, so here is my empty horror shelf. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with all these books. Leave me your suggestions. What would you do if you were getting rid of all the things that you knew were bad for you? I'm keeping, I guess this is about 15 books maybe from this whole shelf that are kind of questionable. We'll see. I might end up getting rid of them later. These books are all going to fall. But yeah, I want to hang on to them for a little bit longer because when I pick them up and look at them, they don't make me feel yucky like these books do. At least not yet. They might make me feel yucky later. And then I also have this shelf over here with this stuff on it. I don't feel like messing with that shelf today because honestly, I don't even know if I have room in my car to take this with me for this trip. I'm going this week to Tennessee and my car is packed with stuff. So I'm just going to take one bookcase for now. I might empty this one later and take this one. Yeah, I'm excited to take this to the new house and fill it up with things that are good and not things that are yucky. I'd say this was easier than I thought it was going to be. So yeah, anyway, I hope y'all have a fantastic day and I will see y'all soon. Bye.